I see it.
All right, so this is for pophorror.com and also for my puny little podcast. So I guess introduce yourself in this movie you've done some work for.
My name's Paul Leonard-Morgan, and I composed the music for Pretty Lethal, which came out on Amazon last night. Ballerina slasher movie. Uma Thurman, Maddie Ziegler, Lana Condor, lots of people. Iris Apatow.
Yes, I enjoyed it. So, what was it like to blend the action and dance, and how did that dual element shape your approach to the score? Like, was there a real dance component that was a part of the score for you?
So much fun. I mean, it's just completely. The film is batshit crazy. Um, someone described it earlier on as From Dusk Till Dawn, but without the vampires,
Oh,
and with
sure.
with killer ballerinas instead. Um, yeah, so I mean, it's obviously about five five girl ballerinas who gradually get better and better. You got to work together as a team. It's about girl power. But I think so many movies are very patronizing towards girl power, whereas this is just badassery. Yeah, and they start getting better. They're slashing people with blades on their ballet shoes, so it's not your typical kind of ballerina movie.
Yeah.
But the dance is integral to the music, to the score. There are kind of three boss fight sequences in this, and every single moment, whether they're hitting someone with their fist or whether they're hitting someone in the balls with their with their ballet shoes, every single moment is punctuated by the orchestra or electric guitar or a rock drama or any of those moments.
And the movie does have Uma Thurman. Who else is in the cast for the people out there to know?
Well, I
Um,
mean, what's quite funny is like Uma Thurman's in it, so I'm kind of
yeah.
there. When you score movies, you have Bradley Cooper looking down at you in your studio, or you have whoever. So you have Uma Thurman. I kind of go like, "This is pretty cool." And my daughter came in, who's 13, and she goes, "Wow, what's she doing on your movie?" And I was like, "Oh, she's pretty cool, isn't she?" She wasn't talking about Uma. She was talking about Maddie Ziegler, and she knew Maddie Ziegler, who had been in Dance Mums years
Okay.
ago. Which is a iconic TV series that all the kids love. And Zoe, my daughter, had literally grown up with her. So kind of watching her as she grew up, and she's a bloody good dancer. So suddenly she's there starring, say Iris Apatow, Lana Condor, all these people, Avantika, who it's like the new generation almost. And when we were on stage at South by Southwest, what I thought was interesting was Uma gave a fantastic speech about how the age that they are, early 20s, whatever, is the age that Uma was when she started. And she said, she really had to fight as a woman actor to get either roles or to be taken seriously. And she says, what's fantastic for her is seeing these badass girls on stage, all five of them, who are now completely bonded as friends. But it's like a new generation coming through, and it is a case of can do.
Yeah, and the characters didn't. I mean, this isn't that much of a spoiler. The characters didn't all perfectly get along toward the beginning of the movie, but they're kind of forced to do that, and that's kind of like what happens in a lot of real life scenarios. You know.
Yeah, and I think and Vicky Jewson, who's the director, when she first approached me about this film, she sent me it, and I kind of watched 10 minutes, and then watched another 10 minutes, and another 10 minutes, another 10 minutes. I mean, I loved it, but I think what was unusual about it was I had such a vision for what I wanted to do for the score straight off, and I was at Skywalker Ranch recording another film, and I just had a quick chat with Vicky. I said, "Look, I'll call you when I get back to LA." But I just want you to know I know what I want to do with this film. And we had a quick chat, and it was bonkers because I was just like, this is a punk rock band meets cyberpunk electronica meets full on orchestra. And you're going to gradually get more and more crazy as the score goes on. But if you make the score crazy to begin with, then people just it's just weird. You've got to get their trust as you go along with music, the same as you have to with a story. So in the same way that the kids don't get on to begin with, and then they've got to learn to be together as a team, and by the end of it, they are bossing it in the fight sequences, and then also there's a fantastic ballet at the end that they do. And kind of with the music, I said to Vicky, it's quite the same. You've got to earn the trust. You've got to earn the trust of the audience, that you don't just go in with this crazy ass score to begin with, but it's a bit of orchestra to begin with, and then a bit of synths to begin with. And then suddenly the first fight sequence comes and everything's coming on. There's guitar throbbing through. There's a rock drummer going on. There's electric bass. There's a bunch of synths underneath it. And there's orchestra playing some absolutely mental stuff. So yeah, it is one of those things where I think anytime you've got to learn to have the trust, whether it's the trust of an audience, the trust of a director, or the trust of the five dancers.
And you worked with the Royal Scottish National Orchestra, right? So
Yeah.
that's a not something that every musician gets to do, I suppose, or
So
composer.
I'm Scottish, so I trained at the
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
trained at the Royal Conservatoire in Glasgow years ago, and I started producing bands. So I was classically trained, produced bands, got into the whole band scene, and then came full circle and started doing films, Limitless and Dread and whatever. But what's been so nice over the last kind of 4 or 5 years is the RSNO have got this fantastic studio there in Glasgow, and Abbey Road and Ayr are always very, very busy. So everyone's always looking for a third place to record. So suddenly the RSNO are getting loads of work from my mates in LA as well. And I'm doing them like this little PDF. All the music supervisors call me and say, hey, what the RSNO like? I'm like, oh, God, they're brilliant. But also, the food's amazing in Glasgow. The pubs are amazing in Glasgow. All of this. And I'm doing them a PDF, and they're all sending me pictures when they go back to Glasgow going, wish you were here, but look, we're at, and it's all my favorite pubs and restaurants and all of this kind of stuff. So it's the whole experience. But the RSNO are phenomenal. And, you kind of fly over, you get a day's sleep. I've still got a studio in Glasgow, so I was working from there quite a lot. And yeah, and then just started recording them. We had a great time, and they're fantastic musicians. They got a beautiful studio.
Oh, that's cool. And when you had the ballet parts of the scene, did or the movie scenes, did you incorporate the elements of the choreography into the score? Like, how did you do that?
So
What was
it's
your
two, it's twofold. There are, say, three fight sequences, and the whole concept was that, look, they're going to get to the end, and when they are finally working together as five, because they need to escape being massacred, then they're dancing to the dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy, Waltz of the Flowers. So it's very classical. But leading up to that in the different fight sequences, as I say, it was literally, we had a live band playing with a live orchestra with all my synths, and it was so choreographed, and I was really doing it to every single beat. So every kick that got, you'll see. So I haven't scored a film like this before, where you've really got to get every single beat. But I think what was quite funny is you're going diddle 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 on the electric guitar, or Ross, my guitarist, is, and then the next moment you got to, and all the ballet dancers all kind of jump up in the air. So you suddenly got like an orchestral flourish, and then you've got kind of the hardcore kind of Moog keyboards. I've got kind of, so it's this really nice contrast between it, but it's bloody hard to do. Whereas the last sequence of the entire film is basically a 2-minute ballet. The film's finished, the girls are saved, without too many spoilers, and they get to this dance competition which they've been training for. So I can't think of another film where you get to write a 2-minute ballet and they are literally performing to my music. I mean, it's just amazing.
yeah, yeah. That would be quite an interesting experience, right? And did you how did you balance honoring the original Sugar Plum Fairy by Tchaikovsky with making it feel more cinematic and fresh? I think you got into that a little bit, but there's also like a different attitude that you have to approach it with rather
Yeah.
than just instrumentation.
So there are two routes that you could have gone down. One is to do kind of a dance remix of it, and I was like, it's a bit cheesy. Don't want to do that. But so we had to re-record it anyway because they had a version that they couldn't use. So I had to do a version of it with click track, which of course classical music you don't use click tracks to conduct. So it's literally having to beat match every single part of this recording that they choreographed it to, because they'd filmed it all to this thing. So I'm trying to replicate this, but then it gave us this opportunity. So as I say, so for little flourishes, like when Uma, her character's Deborah, she's about to hit a detonator and press for example, that you can suddenly get a kind of thing, little moments like that without being too cartoony. It's just little flourishes that you could give to this. I had to go and study the Tchaikovsky scores to find out exactly how I'd orchestrated it, and then go and kind of copy that, but also do my own beast on it. So yeah.
And I think when it comes to Pretty Lethal, obviously it's a play on words with the pretty ballerinas and stuff like that. So was there a was there sort of ballerina, like, did you study ballerina culture at all in creating the score or anything like
It's a
that?
really, it's a really good question. We all got confused because the film actually used to be called Ballerina Overdrive. So on all the
Yeah.
scores that you see from the recording sessions, it all says Ballerina Overdrive. But like, it's the same film. It's just my background. The only job, inverted commas, that I've ever had was playing piano in a dance school when I was
Ah,
18, 19, and studying at the conservatoire in Glasgow. So I'd be basically playing everything as ballet or tap music. So I played that for kind of 3, 4 years while I was getting into getting some films and getting some band stuff and everything. And then that's pretty much my history with dance until about 2.5 years ago. And it's been so busy with soundtracks and bands and games that it was just like film soundtracks and game soundtracks. I needed a month off just to try and rediscover my, sounds stupid, but like sometimes you just got to rediscover your style. It's like, what is
sure.
it? Rather than everything sounding the same, it's like you've got to try and get inspiration for yourself to rediscover yourself as an artist. So I took a month off. I wrote an album called Etudes for Piano and Cello. We went and premiered it at East West Studios in LA, which is awesome. Had about 200-300 people come along to it. But that album, which was just for me, with this amazing cellist Suvi, uh, basically led to this film, because when Vicky then phoned up and said, "Hey, I love all your electronic stuff," I was like, "Well, that's cool." But she said, "Is there any dance? Have you ever worked in dance before?" And when I did that album, dancers from around the world started getting in touch saying, "Hey, you cool to be choreographed to this?" So we had the principal ballet dancers of the San Francisco Ballet, the principal dancers of the National Ballet of Canada, and they started sending me just excerpts, and it was the most wonderful, creatively rewarding thing. And suddenly I had little videos, so I sent them to Vicky and said, "Well, here you go." So all of a sudden, I've taken time off from film to try and sort of get my juju back, and then I do my own album. All these dancers react to it, and then Vicky phones up with this crazy ass film about ballerinas. Have you got any dance stuff? Well, in actual fact, yeah, just now. But that's not what I do want to do with your film, because it's not classical. But she's going, "Oh, classical might be good." I was like, "No, no, no. It's going to be this crazy ride that we take them for. It's this punk attitude that the girls have, as the punk attitude that the soundtrack's going to have." But I just thought that's so bizarre. Build it and they'll come.
Yeah, it's sometimes life. I think the word for that is serendipity, I guess,
Yeah,
if I remember correctly. And
yeah. And now I'm,
that's,
I'm and now I'm actually writing a ballet, which is getting premiered later on in the
oh,
year. So I mean, it's fantastic. It's just I love it. Yeah, serendipity, great word.
so it all sort of evolved, you know, naturally in a way, in a weird way.
Yeah, and I think I work on lots of different things. I have a short attention span. If I just did soundtracks, I'd go insane. If I just did classical concert music, I'd go insane. But I think that everything that you do leads into other things, whether subliminally or whether actually intentionally. But like, so I was touring. I've got a new album coming out in August, and we had a wee tour of that in January, and we played some festivals back in Scotland, and you're playing some gigs in front of 2,000 people, and you're playing some film music, and you're playing some other stuff, but the album's got nothing to do with film music. But it was suddenly just like, oh, it gets your passion going again. So then when next time you're in the studio, because films are hard work, you're in the studio for 3 months, not sleeping much. It's great fun, but it's still very tiring. You suddenly got that creative energy coming from the other stuff that you're doing. And I think all of these things just lead, it's kind of the road less traveled. You don't know where it's taking you to, but it's taking you somewhere.
And what sort of unique techniques did you apply to this score? Were there any things that you hadn't done before? You mentioned
So
kind of
many.
going in new directions.
Yeah, so many. I mean, with the orchestra stuff, I've never done stuff where, well, not very often anyway, where you're basically, instead of giving the players, obviously they've got lots of music to play and lots of notes, but then there's lots of weird effects, which on a score just looks like a sine wave almost. It's like the Dolby thing where it's like wow, 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 and the bigger the sine wave, the crazier the glissandi is on the strings or the brass or whatever. And there's a title card in this Pretty Lethal, which comes about 15 minutes into the film. Devora slams the doors, there's been a chase sequence, and then you just get this title card. And it's literally 7 seconds of the orchestra going, boom. And at the same time, I've then got all my weird electronica going, and it sounds utterly bizarre. But when you put it all together, I mean, again, it's to introduce the fact that we've just had a crazy fight sequence. People have been shot. Devora's come in, slam these massive doors of a castle, and then you get this batshit crazy pink card. I was just like, right, let's just have a crazy 7 seconds of music. So that was one technique, as I say, doing all of those kind of weird textures, horror as we're going down to the dungeon a bit, to the basement. We got lots of those weird string textures. But the crazy one for me was a keyboard that I use called the Roly keyboard. And it's not do you know them?
What's that? Do
you know the Roly keyboards?
Not familiar with those.
Okay, so the Roly keyboard is, where is it? Oh, here it is. It's on the other side of the studio. Hang on. Here you go. This is a Roly keyboard. So
okay.
A normal piano, obviously, if I hold it the right way up, a normal piano, you got da 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 da, the semitones, yeah?
Sure.
On this, what happens is there's nothing stopping you from running your finger to the next note. So it's almost like glissing down, going, so wherever your finger is. And if you go up, the velocity gets louder. And if you go down, the velocity gets softer. So you can still play the same note, but it's getting louder and softer. So it's kind of enables you to play, you can play normal chords on it, but it's more like having an electronic kind of vibe going. And I was trying to come up with a sound, like a celeste sound. It's about ballet. But I was like, oh, God, yeah, that's been done so many times. Hey, here's some dancers. Let's have the celeste. And if the whole idea was that it was a contrast between sounds in this. So I created a celeste sound, started playing it on that. And then again, instead of having a celeste going, doo-doo, it goes, doo, and you can just move your finger ever so slightly off and it detunes it. So you've got a down, down, down. And suddenly I came up with these bass sounds because my fingers were on this. It's like detuned Celeste by 2 octaves. Oh, that's kind of cool and creepy. And I suddenly came up with this theme, and that's really how it came about. It was a Celeste theme, but it was played 2 octaves lower on this weird thing. And so I suddenly picked up like a saw and a bow and started playing the theme on that, kind of, you're bending the saw. And all of a sudden it had all these weird sounds, but I was safe in the knowledge that I knew I had days and days and days of orchestra recording to go underneath this. So it was the crazy motifs that I was doing on these kind of things, the saw, the whistling, the harmonica, the detuned violin. That's the kind of stuff that puts you on edge as you're going into this castle. So I really liked it, doing stuff like that.
All right. So there's musical saw involved in this score? That's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, baby. So if you want to put that down, that's a heavy beast. Yeah, again, yeah, and I can't play. I think the joyful thing is it's unprofessional. I can't play them in a mastered way. I've got grade 8 violin. I've got grade 8. Oh, I don't know what you call it over here, but I'm accomplished in violin. I'm accomplished in piano. I'm never going to be a soloist, right? So it does mean, though, that I've got better at just picking stuff up and then mucking around with them on the computer afterwards. So yeah, like you're holding the saw there. I've seen people do it. Went onto YouTube a bit, learned how to do it. Just basically copied it. Took my violin's bow, and you're just going that on the saw, kind of. And so then I managed after about take 7,643 to kind of do a bit of. I had the motif that I'd already played, which is this for Devora, the do 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 do, which is this motif that comes back over and over again. And then, yeah, I managed to kind of go on the saw and you're kind of bending it. And then, say, next take took another half hour to go, and then you kind of match it all together, put on a bunch of reverb, and it's like, oh, that sounds haunting.
It's always impressive when people can master things like a musical saw or...
I haven't mastered the musical saw. Yeah. I've played it, but I've definitely not mastered it.
There's like Clara Rockmore, she can play full compositions on... Or I don't think she's alive anymore, but she did play like classical music on the theremin, and things
Yeah.
like that. So that's always impressive, and it's always
Yeah.
fun when that's a part of the score or a
Well, that's
song or something like
well,
that.
I think that's it. There's twofold, isn't it? Because one is you can play that stuff on the theremin, you can do that, and it's cool to watch. I don't know how you can make a living from that. But then there's the other
A
side,
select
which
few
is
can, a select few.
right, yeah. But using those techniques, I think. I mean, I was talking to someone the other day about AI. I've never even opened up ChatGPT. My kids have, but it's got to the stage where you can do anything. Right? We all have these wonderful tools at our disposal. I'm pointing to my computers, but we have these wonderful tools at our disposal. But because we now have so many tools, it can almost become analogous. Everything sounds the same, or
Sure,
everything's created from the same form. Whereas if you just pick up a guitar like you were playing before I came on with you, if you pick up a guitar, pick up a violin, it doesn't matter how good you are, it introduces air to the soundtrack. It introduces humanity to it. Now, it can be
sure,
crap and you can detune it and play it badly, but it's suddenly bringing a texture to it which you're not going to get from in the box. And that's what I'm saying, like getting the full orchestra for how many days in Glasgow, getting the punk band in, all of these players. You've got this beautiful solo violin up the top, which you're never going to do on this. But you've then got that combined with electronica, combined with this fantastic orchestra doing crazy stuff. You're never going to be able to recreate that with AI because it's what's going on in your head to begin with, going,
sure.
I want to try this, I want to try that. You can't predict that until you get on stage and start conducting the players.
Sure, it's like the difference between a simulation and the real thing. Like
Yeah, and you're saying a simulation. Try and explain to the producers it's like what's going on in your head. It's going to be fine. There's going to be a saw with a detuned violin and a whistle and a this and a hammered dulcimer, but then we're going to be a punk band and then there's an orchestra, but the orchestra is also going to do this really weird stuff. And thanks, give me the money to go and do it. And yeah, it takes. I was thinking about this the other day. It takes a big level of trust from your team
sure,
to, to actually do that. So kudos to them because they backed me to the absolute hilt. And it's been so lovely. Yeah, because the film's been out for a day. I got over 1,000 requests for the ballet for the last 2 minute piece this morning when I came in. It's like, this is insane. It's been out literally a day, and people are reacting to the music in such a way already. That's all you can ask for as an artist.
well, all right. It's been a little over 22 minutes. Is there anything else you would like to add here?
No, no, I'm good.
All right. Well, it was nice to meet you. I I think
Anyway,
I think this movie is a pretty successful one, and I I don't know if there's sequel potential. Maybe there could be.
has
I don't know.
everyone been killed off yet? I don't know. I know that when we were watching it, we premiered at South by Southwest a week ago, and there were 1,100 people in that theatre, the Paramount, and the whole town, had pink posters, pink, booths, pink ballet, pink this, pink the buses going along. Watching the movie with 1,100 people, and people were literally cheering during the fight sequences, like clapping, going, when he gets kicked in various bits and stuff. Hearing 1,100 people react like that to a film, you'd always get claps at the end or whatever at a festival, but hearing 1,100 people react like that in the middle of it, and then happened again on the Monday at a Q&A that Vicky had gone to another screening. It happened, I was doing a panel at ASCAP on a composer panel. There were 200 people there, and the same. It's just wonderful when you see people react like that. It's some films try and be very arty. Some films try and be very commercial. We've struggled, I would say, not struggled is the wrong phrase, but to try and work out where this film fits. Because it's a slasher movie, but it's not really a slasher movie because it's bloody funny. I would let my kids watch it, even though it's probably R
Yeah.
rated, because it's really gory, but it's so over the top gory that it's just funny. And it's like the Goonies meets, say, 28 days later, meets From Dusk Till Dawn. So it's all this combo. But in the end, I think what was just lovely was 1,100 people left that theatre going, that was just a really fun ride.
All right. Well, thanks for spending time here talking with me, and check out Pretty Lethal, everybody. I think most of you would enjoy it. go ahead and check it out.
Wade, thanks so much for your time.
All right. Have a good one.
And you. Bye.
Yep. Bye bye.